Hello,
Hello, sir.
can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me? I can't hear you, so
I can hear you, Professor Ali.
no. Let me try. Let me check my speaker. That might be. I'll jump outside. Just one second.
Okay, sure.
Yes, sir. So then we'll start at 11.
Okay.
The introduction is ready, and then you have the list already. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It's better to change the background, maybe.
কোথায় আছো হস্টেলে?
আমি হস্টেলে না স্যার বাড়িতে আছি
আচ্ছা।
গুড মর্নিং স্যার
Hello, everyone.
yeah
Hello. Hi. I can hear you
hi
now. That's
yeah
good.
Okay, thank you.
okay sir, welcome to the meet. So
Thank
this
you.
is, yeah, this is for an InspiraTalk session uh under eSummit 2025, which is basically an entrepreneurial fest. But yeah, so this is the fifth edition of this eSummit, and we are honored to have you here with us. So basically, for the viewers, Dr. Mirjalili is a globally renowned leader in artificial intelligence, optimizations, and meta-heuristic algorithms. He serves as a professor and director of the for Artificial Intelligence Research and Optimization at Torrens University, Australia. His research contributions are extraordinary. Over 700 peer-reviewed publications, more than 150,000 citations, and placing him among top 1% of highly cited researchers worldwide. His expertise spans evolutionary computations, feature selection, multi-objective optimization, nature-inspired AI, making his works highly relevant to emerging fields such as that merge advanced feature engineering and optimizations. We are honored to welcome Dr. Mirjalili to our panel, where his deep scientific insights and global perspective will help uh, drive the rich discussion on innovation, optimization, and future of AI in academia and industry. And also we have Professor Ram Sarkar and as a distinguished faculty member of Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Jadavpur University. His research deeply engages with the computer vision, machine learning, medical image analysis, deep learning and optimization for feature selection, areas that resonate closely to the topic of our panel discussion. He has authored hundreds of publications and has built a strong reputation for applying advanced algorithms to real-world problems in imaging and diagnosis. We are delighted that Professor Sarkar has joined us as his work bridges the academia and applied worlds. Perfect for the talk that seeks to inspire both students and industry minded participants with actionable insights and visionary thinking. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so thank you, Om, and good morning, Professor Mirjalili. So this is Ram. So we are working since a few years, but this is the first time we are meeting. So welcome to the panel discussion. So this is we are highly privileged that like you are joining this e-summit. This is organized by Jadavpur University. So thank you once again. So can we start now?
yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Sarkar, for your great introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here. And I look forward to the debate. Yeah.
We would like to know your view regarding the AI and some other implications of the AI and machine learning. So let's start with the very basic questions of the AI. The first question would be, what do you see the most transformative impact of the AI in the like for the society? So because we know that artificial intelligence, it is having the great impact for our society in different perspective. So according to your opinion, what are the most transformative impacts of the AI?
Yeah, well, thanks for the great question, and definitely it's a very relevant one. It's a good thing to start with, I guess, because AI is probably one of the, if not the most disruptive technology we've ever come up with, we've ever discovered as humans. Look, to answer this question, I can say healthcare, I can say space exploration, I can say sustainable energy. There's a lot of things we can. But to me, the most transformative impact will be a lot more fundamental. It will be at the scientific discovery level. Because if you think about it, all the advances, all the innovations that are the main driver of what we see around us are from these scientific discoveries. And we reached the point that AI is now better than one single human in a lot of tasks, writing, right, drawing. And at some stage, it will be better than all of us combined. Think about, the number of GPUs and the softwares we have at the moment, multiply about 10,000, million, billion times, right? So at some stage, from my point of view, the most disruptive and transformative impact is where AI will be leading the scientific discovery, which means that at that point, then we almost become obviously very concerning. We don't know how to manage it, and a lot of people believe it's a hypothetical scenario or it's a philosophical debate. But at some stage, we'll become a consumer of new knowledge. So that means we'll probably end up doing the applied research more than theoretical and fundamental, and we'll leave it to the AI. Or in the best scenario, which I'm an advocate for, is where we can coexist and collaborate with AI to push the boundaries of knowledge. And I believe that will be the main driver of this way we can have the most disruptive impact in the society.
Okay, so thank you for your insights. So we know that the applications of the artificial intelligence are now using by every single people. So not only the researchers, like for every common people, they are also using the AI in different ways, like in their life. So my next question would be, what are the biggest innovations of the AI, or like how like this could be useful for the researchers as well as the students, like academicians? Like first, I would ask, like in these questions, like how we academicians and the students will be benefited in the coming years if we use the AI in the positive way, obviously.
Yeah, I think if we look at the question from two perspectives, one, obviously, if you're doing an AI research, and if somebody is doing AI research, obviously they need to be contributing to the cutting edge technology, which is, I mean, obviously neural network has been there for 3 or 4 decades, but at this stage we've got the other ingredient to be able to use them. We have data and the hardware, and those, so data, hardware, and software work together to make things happen. And obviously each of those areas, there's a lot of open research question that we have to answer, right? In the hardware, obviously we have now every single day we hear about the better GPU, better CPU, smaller GPU, but we might need new architecture, new technologies in that space. In the energy sector, I think the main bottleneck in the AI space, in the AI, will be the energy. Without proper energy, right, we can't fuel these systems. So and obviously in the software also, artificial neural network are probably the most disruptive, the most impactful AI tool out there. And that's something that obviously everybody in the AI space should be aware of. That's for if you're doing research in AI. But if you're doing research in other areas, I strongly believe that you should educate yourself. You should improve your skills about AI too. It's like internet. I think if you go back to a few years ago, a couple of decades ago, internet was obviously quite new, and people people lost their jobs if we didn't learn how to use internet. And these days, any researcher should be able to use computer, right, to use the internet to be able to find research, do the literature review, find gap, hypothesize, collect data, and so on and so forth. So I look at the AI also, as you pointed out rightly as well. I look at AI as a utility, as a layer sitting at the top of everything, right? Hardware, software, and the AI now that we should be aware of. We should be able to use it. So I think those are the sort of skills that everybody needs, not just AI expert. So yeah, I think those are the sort of things that I think will be very important for us as researchers, whatever we are doing and whichever area we are working on.
Yes, like we are all understanding that. So you are talking about the hardware and software, like both perspectives. So in this regard, my it is not the next question, but connected to this thing, I would like to ask you, like, is it dividing us? Like some people they are having the huge resources, maybe the like big industries. So and for the some academicians, or like for us, like the people of the developing countries who are not having the like resources. So if we do not have the enough resources, can we contribute to the development of the like AI, specifically the deep learning and the machine learning technologies?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, that's the case. And it's not just developing country, or it's not about the country now. It's just a few handful of big companies that can invest this much in technology, in the hardware to be able to run these systems. But but I strongly believe that the barrier will be lower and lower, because what we see now is like when we have the mainframes, the massive computers during the World War, right? And nobody were able to the public weren't able to access them. They were not accessible. They were very big and expensive. What we see now, AI, large language model, is like those mainframes, right? There is not much. There is no proper interface. It's very expensive, very costly to train and use. But I believe that this will be, reduced over time, which means that obviously it will be a lot more accessible. And I wouldn't be surprised in a few years' time if you can train a whole, large language model on your laptop. Obviously, it might be quantum computing laptop, or other tech. I don't know, but I strongly believe there will be. It comes down to that. We will reach to that point. And what we can do in the meantime, I think that's a lower hanging fruit, right? Obviously, there are some niche areas that we can focus on. Like, it doesn't have to be always the bigger model, the best model. I think what China achieved in DeepSeek was a good example,
Yes.
right? That you don't need sometimes the innovative thinking, or how we look at the problem from a different perspective, is a deal breaker, right? It's make a big impact. So, and obviously there's a lot of research going on how to reduce the cost of AI models, and I strongly believe that every country has its own infrastructure to make that happen. But yeah, I hope that will resonate with people. These are some of the insight I think will be very helpful moving forward.
Okay, so we are also hoping the positive things will happen, and we
Yeah.
can also like contribute something to this field. So before going to the like the misuse of the AI or some other like negative aspect of the AI, so I would like to ask another thing, because you are one of the pioneers in the field of the meta heuristic algorithms and the optimization algorithms. And we also know that in case of deep learning or machine learning, optimization is extremely required. So what would be your answer? Like, how do you connect these optimization algorithms with the machine learning or the deep learning algorithms?
That's a great question. And whenever people ask me these kind of question about the impact of AI in certain area, I always say it depends on the problem, obviously, right? So if you look at the training process of deep learning models, or multi-layer perceptrons, small or big doesn't matter. It's a gradient friendly problem, right? So that means and there's a lot of gradient based algorithm that are extremely well, and they work really well. So there's no point in these kind of application to use meta heuristic, because meta heuristic are expensive or slow, right? But if the problem is something else that requires the gradient information, the calculated derivative, and expensive to or it's impossible to do that, then this is where we can use meta-heuristic. Where meta-heuristic it can be used in deep learning neural network, I believe it will be to optimize the structure and the hyperparameters, or even it will help you to choose the right machine learning or optimize the machine learning tool that you have in hand for your problem. Because at the moment, what we discussed just earlier, Professor Sarkar, the cost of AI techniques are very high. So, and I strongly believe that the bigger is not better in this space anymore. The bigger more we have, models with billions of variables, and there's no point to keep increasing. At some stage, which a lot of people believe we've reached to that point now, is to reduce it and see where we can find the optimal configuration, the optimal structure, the optimal values, to make sure that we are not overdoing something. We are not overfitting the network. We are not over consuming the energy to make a certain decision to achieve a certain outcome from an AI model. So I think those are the areas that the meta-heuristics, I should say, we justify the use of meta-heuristic. We don't want to use meta-heuristic for the sake of using it, for the sake of having a better name. We want to see where it can have the best impact. So I wouldn't recommend to use it for training process, although I have to admit we've done it a lot just out of curiosity and see how it works. The other area, which I think I strongly believe you are a pioneer in that space, is feature selection.
Yes.
That's exactly where meta-heuristic can come in, because for problems that have exponential complexity, then a lot of traditional optimization techniques will struggle, right? This is where you can leverage meta-heuristics for that, and we obviously will be happy to hear your thoughts, because you are one of the leading in that.
Yes, I also agree with you. Like, just for using meta-heuristic, we should not use the meta-heuristic because we know that this is expensive. But yes, we also use feature selection algorithms, and we used many like standard meta-heuristic algorithms and some meta-heuristic algorithms proposed by you also. So, and apart from the feature selection algorithm, yes, many people they are using meta-heuristic algorithm based hyperparameter selections for the deep learning, and like currently we have seen that some of my students they are also using that. They are also inspired by your work. So it's good thing.
Glad to hear now.
So my next question would be, like, AI now this is shaping our society in different way. Traditionally, we had some ideas, but now we are seeing the many new opportunities are coming. But at the same time, many people are also fearing that, like, there will be some mass unemployment, or there will be changing of the nature. Some common jobs that will not be there in the future. So in that perspective, so what is your opinion? So, like, will it like create new job opportunities, or like there will be only like a lot of unemployment? So what would be your view?
Look, I think we need to look at this in the short term and the long term, right? Because it's very difficult to mix both. I start with the short term. You're absolutely right that in the short term we are going to have a lot of job losses and job displacement. If you are doing a repetitive task at the moment, which requires a few clicks, Excel file, this and that will be definitely replaced by AI, which happened already, right? So it's like a wave of, it's a tsunami that keeps, devouring different jobs. I would say the less cognitive ability required, the faster it will be replaced by AI, right? So it's absolutely the case. So how can we then safeguard ourselves? I believe if we can use it as a tool, right? So let's say if it takes me as an administrative person to look at all the grades of the students, transfer them to one Excel file and do the next Excel file, those repetitive, extremely tedious task processes, we can now, I can now stop here and say, I'm going to be replaced by AI. So why can't I learn how to do that? Why can't I, if it takes me 1 week to do that, how can I do that in 1 day, right? In 1 hour? So I think I wouldn't be scared to lose my job I would be scared if to lose my job if I don't learn how to use AI. If you don't learn how to use AI, then obviously you're going to lose. At least you're going to lose your competitive advantage to your colleagues and peers, right? If they can achieve much more quicker, a lot more in short period of time, then there's no, we can easily become irrelevant. So that's the short term. But in the long term, I think it's a lot more profound than this. Was definitely a very hot debate, um, and at some stage, my thought, my what I believe is that at some stage, working becomes like an option. Like, and if you look at the history, at some stage, as humans, we would have to grow our food, right? We would have to spend a lot of energy just to, to feed ourselves and our family, right? And it's an option now. You can grow your vegetables, you can raise your chickens, and use their eggs, but you don't have to. It's an option. So if we reach to that stage that AI can automate everything, let's say 90% of the agriculture is done by AI, products and services 90% are done, or let's say even 100% are done by AI. This is where obviously governments need to have some global income, social income for everyone, which means that everybody will have a basic income, and working will be an option, I would say. And but that begs a question: then how can we find meaning in life? Because a lot of us, are tied with our job. This is our identity. This is who we are. But those are the sort of, I think, questions that are quite profound and philosophical. But the fact that we are talking about it now, it's a good thing because we are preparing ourselves for that. But again, maybe future in the near term future, people will look at us and say, "Ah, these guys would have to work for their foods." That's no longer an option. You now work if you like and in an area that you love most, so you find you're passionate. And just to sorry, it's getting a bit long, but and I believe that in that case, the different countries will not be measured by the size of economy. So GDP is no longer valid in that case because you can scale the economy as much as you can when you have robots and AI doing all the work, right? And in that case, we can then replace other measures like quality of life, happiness, right, satisfaction, and that's where people then will start measuring society based on how healthy they are, how happy they are, how satisfied they are, not just based on how much income they have per capita.
Okay, thank you for pointing this out because like people are worried about the shortcoming aspects of the misuse of the AI or the uses of the AI, but in the long run, probably we should be more benefited if we use the AI in the proper sense. We are
Yeah.
hoping for the best. So now, regarding the next question, like here, I would like to ask you about the misuse of the AI. So we know that there are another aspect of the AI, like many people they're using the AI in the like for the wrong purposes. So in that respect, my question would be, what should be the regulations that, like obviously government and the other organization they should also use these regulations or provide this regulation because the AI driven like systems they are also using or they are also creating many things which are not good for the society.
Mm.
So in this aspect, what would be your view or please comment on this also?
Yeah. But that's a good question and very timely as well because at the moment, and I don't want to blame governments because regulation always lag behind innovation, right? Something like internet or social media came, last decade, and then suddenly people realize, oh, everybody's talking, young people are using it. There are disinformation, there are some, crime happening, and then they will start to legislate it. And just a couple of months ago in Australia, they now have age verification. So you can imagine after these many years, they have now age verification. So I think, and that's the case in AI too. But there are two unique factors about AI that makes it very different. And we can't be that reactive. At the moment, regulation are always reactive. Something happened, then we step in and then look at the regulation, what's needed. Like when there is an aircraft crashes, right? Then people come together, look at the processes, procedures, regulation, and then improve them so it doesn't happen again, right? So, but in AI, there are two things that we can't do, that we can't risk it. Number one is the speed of innovation. These models get 500 to 1,000 times better in every version. So, but now the question is, do we have regulation with the same to keep up with that speed, with the same to keep up with that speed? Probably, definitely not. Not even definitely not, right? That's one thing. The other thing is that if we leave it too late, and if you wait for an incident to happen, it might be too late, right? Imagine if we leave the AI to grow at the same rate and it will spread across the globe in different data centers. I'm not talking about robots. Let's exclude the robots. We don't assume robots exist at all. Even the softwares we have running on the data center, how do we even realize, how do we even manage that at that stage, right? How do we know whether we have free election anymore? How do we know if we have, if we are not buying rubbish every day because AI, manipulate them? So I think what we need, I can't say what sort of specific regulation I need, but I strongly believe that we need to be a lot more proactive, which means that we need to be prepared for those scenarios. And obviously, there's a lot of good things happening around the world. I would say European Union is leading regulation as always. They are creating, I think, creating regulation, which is a good thing now in AI. But there should be obviously same type of regulation in different countries. We don't want to have too much regulation, so compromise innovation. We don't want to relax it to the point that innovation goes out of hand, right? So there should be a fine balance between the two, but that's $1 million question that I think we need to collectively ask. So, yeah.
And also we need to educate ourselves, because we know that there are some everything, it is having some good things and the bad things. So
Yeah.
we should be at least be informative about the wrong use of the AI, so that people can educate themselves and use it for the good.
Absolutely, I agree. Just one point. So obviously, we are responsible. We should be accountable, and we should be responsible as individuals. Universities should take initiatives in that space. Governments, So it's not just me and you being advocate. I think it's a collective effort. It's individual, institutions, companies, and governments, and the public should work together to make it
Exactly.
happen. Yeah.
So, as we are almost closing to the discussion, so before taking some questions from the audience, my last question would be we are now relying or we are using AI in every aspects of our life. So, what do you think? How might over reliance on the AI for routine tasks or the decision making impact our human cognitive side or the cognitive abilities, like critical thinking or the problem solving? Because we know the students, they are also using AI because they are not trying to think, they're just using the AI and getting the answers. So would it impact in the long run for the cognitive abilities of the human being? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I think absolutely. If you heavily rely on AI without criticizing the outcome, without deep thinking about the outcome, and without even evaluating the outcome, you will soon downskill, right? So that means your first of all, your cognitive ability will decline, because you need practice. You need to keep your mind fresh and active and sharp, right? So and that's a phenomenon that's emerging, right? So, and that's not for the university, for students at the university, across the sector, or across all sectors. It's not just university. So how do we manage it? How do we mitigate it? I would say we need to, as I'll talk about the university context, because this is where we are. Most of the audience are from there. I strongly believe that our curriculum, our assessment should be redesigned. I personally don't mind, and I highly encourage my students to use AI, but they should also critically evaluate, and they get extra mark if they find issues in AI outcome. If
Right.
they can point out this is where the AI gets wrong, or it's not accurate, or it didn't cross-check with something else, I'll give them even extra mark, because it shows they've gone through the thought process, and don't take the AI word for it. They took the word, they look at the outcome and go through a process to critically analyze it. So I think, and we need to educate people. Obviously, we need to extremely heavily educate people that AI outcome can be biased. AI outcome can be even wrong or misleading. It can be compromised intentionally or unintentionally. It doesn't matter. If someone is behind it or not, doesn't matter. We need to be careful. We need to be cautious with that, right? So, and that's where obviously we can do as an institution. Every individual should be aware of that. So one of the skills that they need to improve is exactly that critical thinking, right? They will have to improve their skills to identify biases in the AI recommendation, in their outputs. They need to learn how to criticize the AI outcome. And every time they see an output, they need to question whether it's correct, it's aligned with their values. What you said earlier, um, not every AI out there is aligned with our values. In our society, every country has their own values, right? So we should see, all right, something that might work in your country might not work in the other country, right? So I think those are the sort of things that we need to be actively working together to make sure that we responsibly and ethically use AI, and that's very important for all of us.
Yes, ethical use of the AI. There's that is the term which we also be aware of. I am also a professor at Jadavpur University. So I know that student they also use these things nowadays. This is very common. So the solution which you have provided, that is really good. So we also be think we should think about that. So maybe we can also apply that. So before closing this session, probably there will be some questions from the audience. Om,
Sure.
are there any questions?
Yes,
We
sir.
can
Sir,
questions.
before proceeding to the audience's questions, I would like to ask you two of them from a personal point of view, and that they're very niche questions. So the first one is that what is your view regarding the use of AI in ideation in research works, like in academia? So there are researches where the ideation gets done by AI, and also in conferences, I've seen that people they say they this conference or the project was powered by AI kind of uh, the ideation was done by AI and they like what is your view regarding this?
Obviously, I think before I share my point of view, I have to make it clear that for this kind of question, everybody needs to follow the university policy, right? Every university has its own policy, right? For us, for example, or even the publisher, different publishers have different, policies around the use of AI. So if you want to be compliant and if you want to follow the ethical guidelines, you need to look at those policies and ethical guidelines. I want to make it very clear, right? But for myself, I would say if you ask me whether AI can be used for brainstorming, I think that's the main question, right? Ideation. I would say, why not? Right? Uh, Obviously, if you just get but when you ask AI to come up with an idea or brainstorm, let's say even, let's make it very simple. Let's say you have completed an article and you want to come up with a title. You can simply say, all right, can you brainstorm 20 title for this article, right? It will give you straight away, right? 20 title. So that the next question, at this stage, so far so good. Nobody is going to make you accountable. Where where the problem is, if you blindly copy paste one title and use it in your paper without cross checking, without making sure that nobody used that title, that name, that idea, right? So I would say brainstorming and working and refining ideas is very good with AI. You need to go through that process. You come up with an idea, you refine it, you ask query, you bring your colleagues and other colleagues you have and or other students in the mix. You go through that. So you look at AI as another brainstorm in the group, which is very fast, very reliable, right, and very accurate. So, but you need to be careful because you'll be at the end of the day, AI is not going to be counted. Is not AI is not going to be accountable for what you use. You are putting your reputation right on the line. So I would say I encourage using AI in different forms as long as the outcome is clearly analyzed, cross-checked, and validated. So yeah. No, this is my approach, I would say. And but if you ask me whether publishers allow that, look, at the moment, it's a gray area. It's hard to say. It's not black and white, right? Most publishers, because of the complexity of this phenomenon and the capability of a reasoning AI model, they started with writing. They said none of them banned the use of AI for writing. They said you can use writing, but you need to acknowledge it in the case of Elsevier, right? In the case of others like Springer Nature, no, you don't have to even acknowledge it. But if you use, again, see, go back to the same example. If you use it to write a piece of paragraph, a few sentences, but you don't cross-check it, you don't make it your own work, or you just give everything to AI to write it, then somebody can pick it up and say, oh, that's my wording. How you manage, why use my wording? So I would say how you can use it, but not to the point that reach to, you don't know what the idea is about. You don't know whether it's novel or not. So I would say don't use it blindly, use it responsibly, and make sure to critically analyze and evaluate the outcome.
Got it, sir. Sir, and also there is a question I would like to ask is that the generative adversarial networks, the diffusion models, they create images. There are models who create songs, and you know, at the point of time, the images can be misused, and also they are also used for medical imaging as well. And the models which make songs, the artists are actually pretty much furious and frustrated to see that somebody is doing something better than them, just by like spending lesser amount of time and getting more praises. So the artists are deprived of the fame they want, the recognition they want, and also the misconduct which happens with the creation of images. So do you think some regulations should be brought, or what is your point of view regarding this?
Definitely look in the creative space and content creation for any creative art, right? I think we haven't answered the first question: how we reward the content owners, right? So let's say if I'm an artist and I do painting, you can train an AI on my painting and start selling my work without me knowing, right? And it will be very similar to mine. So I think we haven't answered that, let alone go to the regulation, right? So I think the copyright definition should be changed. If an AI model, and that's where I've seen quite recently that a lot of companies started to obviously be very transparent on the training data, because if, let's say, an artifact is created by AI and there are some what's it called there are some revenue from it, it should be shared revenue between the platform owner, the content creator, the one who created, the one who trained it, and the one who owned the data in the first place, right? So definitely, I strongly believe this is where then people start to say, okay, so if I'm an artist and then other people replicate my work, then I get something out of it, whether reputation, whether monetary, what's it called, incentive, I will still get it. So yeah, I think that's a, as I said, pointed out earlier,
Okay.
regulation is not my expertise. I'm not an expert in that area, but I would be very happy to see that. I'm an advocate for that, because I believe that uh, this is already used or misused by people already, without even entering the military and defense and all the other dangerous areas. It's already happening, but thankfully there are some good research groups and policymakers who are actively advocating for that as well. So yeah, very difficult, I would say, area, a very difficult problem to address, but we need to address it. Otherwise, everything will be chaotic.
Got it,
Yes,
sir.
sometimes it is becoming a legal issue.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, exactly. And again, the legal space is also not black and white. Sometimes a better lawyer, whoever they have more money to fund they can, even if you're a billionaire, you can rewrite the law. Who knows? I don't want to get into much of details,
Yes.
but yeah.
Is there any question?
Yeah, from the audiences, I can filter out some of the questions which are actually quite interesting and was not covered in the meet. So, first is, how do you see the balance between academic research and startup innovation shaping the future of AI development?
Academic research and startup, you said?
Yeah,
Startup.
correct.
Obviously, those are two different areas. Obviously, the skills that we learn in academia are to, are very, are to obviously find a niche area, frame your research question, use a proper research methodology, collect the data, analyze it, and, to be able to answer the outcome. But in the innovation space, it's the same thing, but not, right? So you don't start with the research question. You start with the problem, a need, a pain point. Let's say, online shopping when it didn't exist. So you find that area, the problem, then you build a solution, test the solution, and then the economy will reward you for that, right? In academia, reputation and citation will reward you, and grant income will reward you. But in innovation, or I should say startups, it's either profit or non-profit. If it's non-profit, other things, but it's for profit, it's the revenue. So are these different? Yes. Are they similar? Yes, as well, right? But there are two directions. I wouldn't say they are tangent. There are a lot of overlaps, and I've seen a lot of researchers start commercializing their outcomes, right? In my case, in my algorithm, to be honest, I never thought about it. Well, I shouldn't say I thought about it, but I always wanted also to make it open source so everybody can use it with minimum limitation, right? Obviously, in the license I put out there, it limits the military uses and all the areas that I was not feeling comfortable with them. But it's open to the public. Like most research, the reason why it's been used widely is because they are open source, commercially and non-commercially, right? But that's not always the case. Sometimes you want to have some sort of, if you're a company, you have employees to feed, right? So you need to have some sort of revenues as well. So I would say you can take either, or you can mix both. It depends on what your goals and values are. So yeah, definitely interesting area. And I would say I personally, I've done a lot in research, but now, and a lot of professors, once they get closer to retirement, they look at, saying, okay, we've contributed a lot to the science, but how do we contribute to the economy now? Directly, right? That's why they create their own companies and, startups. And that's probably where I am at the moment as well. So,
Okay, sir. So the last question from the audience, handpicked one, is if you could redesign one major system, say education, healthcare, or governance using AI, which one would you choose and why?
if I change it, or what was the question? If Can you
Yeah.
repeat it?
Redesign.
Yeah, redesign
Redesign.
one major system. Yeah.
One major what were the three options?
Education, healthcare, or governance.
Uh, That's an interesting question. I would say, because I'm probably biased, I would say education, because I, I, because I grew up, and probably a lot of people in the audience, I grew up in very boring classrooms with, like, with very difficult chairs to sit on, with blackboard, chalk, and I'm not saying, I'm not complaining, but I would say, and I always thought education should be fun. You don't have, if you gamify, imagine if you have AI that can create a game for every single concept. If an AI can create a video, a very engaging, a movie, right? A very engaging half an hour video about a certain topic, you don't have to push, kids to watch it and to learn. They are the one who take actions, and and then start learning. So I would say gamification and making learning hyper personalized, as personal as someone's fingerprint, is what I would love to see before I die. And I strongly believe AI can make that happen. And future of education shouldn't be boring. It should be very rewarding. It should be very entertaining, I would say. So, yeah, short answer for education.
And also, one question popped up from the audience that uh, what is your view to keep AI in the ultimate or the supreme position in a company or a startup for ideation, decision making, etc.
So can you repeat that again? So how do we keep AI as a decision maker? Is in the
Yeah, right. For a startup, for anything. So any decision, any legislation, or any execution, everything being decided by AI. in a startup?
Yes, look, not everything. Again, I think we are going around the circle here. I think this is because AI makes things easier. That doesn't mean we have to think the shortcuts all the time, right? I believe that startups can heavily benefit from AI because startups have limited resources. So they have no choice but to find ways to address that. One is to use AI, right? But I wouldn't be surprised. They said in the next 5 to 10 years we will have one-man companies worth billions of dollars, and they don't do it alone. So that means there will be a business owner, and that will be the next, probably. This is what a lot of people are predicting. There will be one-man show companies, or one-woman show. I shouldn't say one man, but one-person company, right? Who will be worthing, billions of dollars, leveraging on AI, which means that you can think of, using AI to automate a lot of process and procedures. You can think of, AI brainstorming, pushing the innovation boundary, do the marketing, and you are then there just managing and do the strategic vision definition and straight in the right direction. So you don't want to leave everything. I always believe as humans, we need to have that strategic decision making in the process, because we are the one who show them direction and say, all right, because you can become a billionaire by scamming people, right? Or you can become a billionaire. Your startup can become a $1 billion company if you let's say solve hunger problem in the world. If you can reduce the cost of foods to almost zero, right? So there are both ways. Which one you want? Obviously, we want the right one. We want the positive impact. So yeah, I would say definitely startups must use AI for ideation, for automation, for everything, but they should be using it responsibly and ethically, and they need to obviously control and manage it so it doesn't go out of their hand.
Got it, sir.
Very good.
So yeah.
Hmm.
So do you
All
have
right.
anything
So, is
to?
that all? Okay.
No, I
That's great.
think this was the last question. No?
Yeah. So
Okay.
then we'll close the session. Like, yeah, that brings us to the end of the incredibly insightful session of InspiraTalks. On behalf of the entrepreneurship cell of Jadavpur University, we extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor Ali and Professor Sarkar for sharing the deep perspective on the transformative impact of artificial intelligence, from ethics to trust, to innovation and opportunities for the next generation. So, to all our students, researchers, and participants turning in, let this session be a reminder that curiosity is your greatest algorithm. Keep exploring, collaborating, and questioning, because that's where real innovation begins. Once again, a big thank you to our panelists, the organizing team, and everyone who joined us today. We hope to see you in the next edition of Inspira Talks. Until then, stay inspired, stay curious, keep building the future.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you
Good
so
luck,
much.
everyone, and all the best, whatever you are doing. Let's keep making a positive impact to the world. See you
Exactly.
later. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye, sir.
you. Thank you so much.
Bye.